First day of football practice. How do the quarterbacks look? Do we already have a starter on the offensive line out? And also the new locker room opens. Is conference realignment, is it just already here? Has it happened already? And then we go into the mailbag. We talk Jacoby Windman, recruiting, and then what else should we call the woodshed? Let's go.
You are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Spartan friends, Spartan family, how on earth are we all doing today on this beautiful Friday? Holy smokes, 4 more weeks until kickoff against Central Michigan. And I got to say, I'm sad to see summer go, but 4 weeks? I'm starting to get a little smile on my face, because Spartan football is almost fully back in our lives. Well, I mean, from a game standpoint, because from a practice standpoint, it's already here. The first day of padded practice went down on Thursday, and then afterwards, well, Mel Tucker talked to the media as well. So we're going to take a few of the sights and the sounds that the media saw and also hear from the head football coach as well. But first, really quick, please rate, review, and subscribe to this here podcast or YouTube show. Thanks a lot, guys. Really do appreciate you. Let's get into it, and let's not waste getting into the meat of the biggest storyline of the offseason. Who on earth is starting at quarterback against Central in 4 weeks? And Mel Tucker said, quote, very good competition, a lot of good balls being thrown, really good communication, guys on the same page with the formations and checks. It was good work out of that group. Look, if not for nothing else, this 2-man quarterback race between Noah Kim, Katin Hauser, or 3, if you want Sam Leavitt in the mix here, the 4-star true freshman out of the Pacific Northwest. It's iron sharpens iron here for this quarterback battle. And you know what? We're going to do a mailbag at the end of this episode. But one of the questions from Upper Decker Jerk Guy, one of the great listeners of this here program, says, based on your view of Zapruder video, who is looking like the starter for opening game? And this is one of the best parts when there is media availability at practice, specifically for the first one of the year. You get these awesome beat reporters. I got to say, I mean, these guys do great work. But like on cell phone footage from 30 feet away from the quarterbacks at like 12-second increments, we get to watch roughly 12 throws out of the maybe 150 throws they will have at practice and dissect every single one of them. So who's going to be the starter based off this practice? Well, Katin Hauser looked good. He was throwing some nice 5-yard out routes to the tight ends. I did see one throw that Noah Kim had that was slightly behind his receiver. So with that said, we are anointing Katin Hauser as the starter for week 1. Sarcastic when I say that. Look, right now I still think that Noah Kim will be in the driver's seat for the starting quarterback. But look, based on the quotes that are said, and when you do look at the practice footage on a real note, both these guys look like they belong there. So yes, I think it is Noah Kim still. But hey, there is still 4 weeks for Katin Hauser to make up ground. How much ground will he make up? Will it be a 2-man quarterback battle going into the season? Who's to say? But right now, the meter, I should make an actual physical meter to show on camera for the YouTube shows. Right now, I'm at 70% Kim, 30% Hauser. So that's where you're at right now. Now, let's talk about the guys that are protecting the quarterbacks and paving the road for the running backs. One of the biggest strengths of the team we are hopeful for, that is the offensive line. Now, Chris Solari of the Free Press, he tweeted out the 3 deep. Guys, I'm going to say that one more time. He tweeted out the 3 deep. That means the first string, second string, third string for the offensive line. Because we have that this year in fall camp. You cannot say that last year. This is very exciting. But anyway, the starters at left tackle, he has Brandon Baldwin, left guard, J.D. Duplain, center, Dallas Fincher, right guard, Gino Vandenmark, and then right tackle, Spencer Brown. Now, in the 2 deep, the second strings, Keyshawn Blackstock, the top-rated interior junior college offensive lineman. More on him in a little bit. Evan Brennan at left guard, Kevin Wigginton at center, Big Dooley Christian Phillips at right guard, and then Ethan Boyd at right tackle. And the third string, you have Lepo at left tackle, Terpstra at left guard, Hartman at center, Miller at right guard, and then Stanton Rommel, that is the 4-star kid at right tackle. Now, I did not mention the name. Nick Samak, he was not working out in practice today. He was seen, someone pointed out on Twitter that he was seen on the exercise bike. Could very well just be precautionary for offensive linemen because, look, Mel Tucker has made this a point in front of the media as well that he wants his guys as healthy as possible in practice. So, look, you're 4 weeks away from kickoff. No need to put any unnecessary strain on the body. So I'm not panicked about the Samak thing, but it's definitely something to note. Now, let's talk Keyshawn Blackstock here because, look, there's two storylines that come out of this, in my opinion. First of all, broadly, I think that him being in the 2 deep for now, again, there's 4 weeks until kickoff, and he is one of the newer faces here. Him being in the 2 deep, to me, means that this line is deep and very improved. This is more of a, hey, look how solid the offensive line is, more than a, oh no, Blackstock, he came in as a number 1 junior college rated guy. He's overrated. I don't think it's that at all, for the record. I want to get out in front of that. I think it's more so that these guys in front of him are now in their 3rd or 4th year, some of these guys, in their coaching under Coach Kapilovic on the offensive line. And, well, he's known as one of the top offensive line coaches in the country. After their 2nd, 3rd, or 4th year, you're going to start to see it. And, well, with these guys, yeah, so maybe that's why Blackstock is on the 2 deep. Now, the second storyline I see here with, just a singular player with Blackstock is that he's at left tackle. And that was one of the big questions when he signed on for Michigan State is that, well, yeah, I mean, he plays interior offensive line. He can also play tackle at 6'5", 315 pounds. I mean, this guy is as versatile as it gets. So I thought that was interesting as well that they have him at left tackle right now. Now the starter, Brandon Baldwin, again, I mean, Jarrett Horst, he was solid last year, but he went away at the end of the year. Brandon Baldwin stepped up and I thought did a pretty adequate job, especially against some pretty tough defenses with some pretty solid defensive ends as well. I mean, God, you don't think Penn State has any animals on their defense, or Illinois certainly had a strong front last year as well. But so, yeah, that's something to monitor as well. The Keyshawn Blackstock, will he always stay in the 2 deep? And even if he does, I imagine he will get more than enough playing time, more than your average second stringer will get this upcoming season because, you find room on the field for him. But, yeah, I just think that only bodes well for the offensive line and what we got here. Now, for the other guys, Mel Tucker was asked about who else stuck out to him in the first practice. 3 guys. Jalen Sami, defensive lineman from Colorado, 6'6" guy. I think he's 330 at this point. When he transferred here from Colorado, he was immediately the biggest guy on defense when he stepped off that plane. So, and Tucker also mentioned light on his feet as well, even for a guy as big as he is. So he's going to be a great run-stopping addition to this room. Also, loved hearing this from Mel Tucker. Kicker Jonathan Kim said, quote, the ball jumps off of his foot. That is what we are talking about. Hey, we talked about it ad nauseum yesterday with Dalton Shetler about the top storylines of practice or just the fall camp. And we talked about kickoffs too, not just the field goals, but also how important kickoffs are. Jonathan Kim led the nation in touchbacks in 2020. So yes, doesn't look like that power has left his foot. And then also Mel Tucker mentioned Sam Leavitt, said he has improved since he arrived and said, quote, I was just impressed with the group overall. All that information I just read and the quotes from there, that comes from Chris Solari of the Free Press. So go give him a follow as well. And then also want to mention this as well. Tucker was asked about Spartan Stadium going into its 100th year, which is remarkable. I mean, God, so many memories and great moments in Spartan Stadium. And I thought Mel Tucker put it so just eloquently that, quote, it's also a good reminder for players and coaches that, hey, Michigan State is going to play football whether we are here or not. What is our legacy going to be while we are here? It's a high bar, a very high bar. So he knows the gravity. I mean, he knows the just importance of Spartan Stadium as well. And I'm sure that is also getting drilled into the players' heads as well. Like, yeah, this building has been here for quite some time. Do you want to be a team that, is just going to be forgotten about in a few seasons? Or do you want to be one of those squads that they still talk about, that they still have plaques for commemorating outside of the stadium. I'm sure that is talked about quite a bit there in the offseason. Now, a little far away from the stadium, just across Shaw Lane, is a new football center. We're going to talk about that here in a hot segment. But first, need to talk your ears off about LinkedIn Jobs. Gang, these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. So you want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and, my favorite part, for free. Guys, it's so easy to create your job on LinkedIn. Slap the purple hashtag hiring frame around your profile to spread the word that you are hiring. They also have simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so that you can quickly prioritize who you would like to interview and hire. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and, again, for free. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions, you got that right, Buster, they apply. And also, hey, it's going to be a beautiful weekend here. Go outside except for 10 a.m. Go to homefieldapparel.com. That's right, Homefield Apparel, rocking one of my favorite home field shirts on the YouTube feed. They are dropping about a dozen new items for Michigan State. They sent us the picture. I felt very exclusive, by the way, but you do not want to miss what they are dropping on Saturday at 10 a.m. We already talked about the Gruff Sparty golfing logo, but they have an homage to the previous Rose Bowl team, some national title teams. They are top to bottom the best, and they're also going to throw you a promo code, LOS23, for 15% off of your order. Again, homefieldapparel.com. Promo code LOS23, 15% off of your first order. Guys, the best vintage logos out there for Michigan State. And also, you're going to feel incredible in this clothing. Homefieldapparel.com. Promo code LOS23 for 15% off of your first order. All right, let's get back into the football banter here. And yes, hey, late on Wednesday night, the football team got to finally go into their new football facility, the Tom Izzo Football Building, that is. And Mel Tucker, after practice on Thursday, compared it to a post-game celebration after a big win and said, hey, Mel said that Mark D'Antonio told him when he took the job that he, quote, had to get the job done of getting a new facility. And he also said, quote, a locker room like that, it shows a commitment to excellence. Now, I'm not going to try to describe the locker room right now because my words or anyone's words cannot do it justice. Go watch the videos on Twitter. I'm sure they're posted on Instagram. You might just search new MSU football locker room on Google. Something should pop up, but man, long are the days of wooden benches or metal benches. Like each player gets their own customized chair that is the hybrid between a leather lazy boy and like a seat that you would find in a Ferrari. Like it is so cool, but again, I mean, these are up there with the LSUs of the world, the Georgias of the world. Like this is the top of the line facilities and resources that Michigan State has now. And it's awesome that it's finally open. Long time coming. And again, I feel like a lot of people learn about the name of this building for the first time on twitter.com or x.com, whatever they're going to call it. And yes, it is the Tom Izzo Football Building. A lot of reporters said, oh, that's weird, naming your football building after the basketball coach. Some Michigan fans oddly sounded just weirdly upset about it for some reason, even though their Yost Ice Arena is not named after a hockey coach. Regardless, that's beside the point. Is it strange to name the football building after Tom Izzo? And in case anyone's out of the loop, the reason it is named the Tom Izzo Football Building, former basketball player, billionaire, Matt Ishbia, he donated $30 million for this building. Tom Izzo left such a mark on him that he decided to name it after him. This wasn't Izzo going to some board meeting and say, hey, I want that building named after me. No, Matt Ishbia named it after Tom Izzo. And quite frankly, I have zero issue with it whatsoever. Look, no one is bigger than a single university, except maybe Tom Izzo. Like he might be in the history of Michigan State. And there are some people that give a good competition, but he might be the greatest figure Michigan State has had. Of course, just what he has done for the basketball program, keeping Michigan State nationally relevant and dominant. for, God, what's going to be almost 3 decades now coming up in just a few years. But also, we saw it a lot this year, and for a very unfortunate reason, what he means to the community off the court as well. Of course, we all remember the tragedy in February, and he was pretty much the face of the university, offering comfort and the right words during that time as well. But even before that, he is the face of the university. The only other person that I think could beat him out is Sparty himself. And I don't think you want to name a building after a mascot, but that's just me. So no, I got no issue with it being the Tom Izzo Football Building. I mean, this man deserves his legacy to be strung out way beyond his coaching days. So yeah, there you go. Hey, let's talk about this thing called realignment that's going on. And I got to say, depending on when you are listening to this, this could already be a done deal. So sorry if this is getting to you a little late, but during the day on Thursday, Brett McMurphy of the Action Network tweeted out, Big Ten just trying to figure out financials at this point on Oregon and Washington, sources told Action Network. Quote, there is no more research or information needed on Oregon and Washington, the Big Ten source said. We have everything we need. Now, of course, the hot rumor is that Oregon and Washington will be the next 2 teams added to the Big Ten. And if you remember on yesterday's show, Big Ten Commissioner Andy Petitti, sorry, figure out how to say your name one of these times. He said that, yes, they do have their eye on expansion and offering Washington and Oregon a spot in the Big Ten, but they don't want to be the one to deliver the death blow to the Big 12 or the Pac-12. Sorry, a little slip there because we will talk about the Big 12 right here because, well, what is going to make all these dominoes fall is the Big Ten on Thursday night is reportedly voting on letting Arizona in their conference. They just snatched Colorado not too long ago, and it is heavily rumored that, well, Arizona State and Utah are very, very, very close on the horizon for the Big 12 as well. So I think after that, just between what the Big 12 is doing, there's apparently a vote from Arizona that's going on Thursday night to vote on whether they want to take part of this Big 12, which they will. That will pass. So you take that combined with Petitti's just quote about, he doesn't want to be predatory to Washington and Oregon. This is what I think happened. It's as clear as day now after 24 hours have passed, but I think he knew that the Big 12 was going to snatch at least Arizona and then Arizona State and then Utah in the very near future. And so with all this, I mean, look, he gets to look like the nice guy. He's essentially saying that, yes, hey, I have masked men with me that are going to rob your store. I'm gonna rob the first 2 big items. I will take USC and UCLA from your store, but I'm just gonna put my hands up and let my goons over there in the Big 12 rob you of everything else. Again, this isn't my fault. They're the ones wearing the mask. They have the guns. They're the ones being violent. But keep in mind, after they're done raiding a few things, I will steal whatever is left in your store. But however, I'm a nice guy. I'm not predatory. I will rate your store 5 stars on Google. So, I mean, come on, you can't be all too upset at me for that. I'm not the real bad guy here. I just took USC, UCLA. Who's ever heard of those schools? Get upset at the Big 12 for taking Utah, Arizona State, and Arizona. Oh, by the way, the U-Hauls are already in Washington and Oregon for moving day over to our conference. So, yeah, just keep your eye on that one. Again, this could already happen. Washington has a emergency regions meeting scheduled for 9 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday, so midnight Eastern time, which, first of all, great time for a news dump in the middle of the night, something that the Big Ten is just incredible at. So on that alone, Washington is already welcome into the Big Ten. But yeah, I got a hard time believing this meeting amongst the board was scheduled to discuss a hike in tuition or a new music building being put onto their campus. Like, no, I think things are working really fast in Washington. Will be joining the Big Ten, got probably by the end of this weekend. And look, I don't like it. There's the whole conference realignment thing, but I'm also of the attitude that, hey, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. So if it is going to happen, I would certainly rather be a team in the Big Ten that is just watching cities around them crumble, like the soon-to-be ACC, like the Pac-12, instead of, like a team like Washington State or Oregon State, who is about to be left homeless on the side of the street. tough shakes for a lot of those teams out there. But Michigan State and the rest of the Big Ten teams, luckily enough, hey, we're chilling, baby. We are doing okay. Really quick here. Hey, Moneyball wrapped up on Thursday night. Jackson Kohler's team and Trey Holloman's team beat Cohen Carr and Garrick Norman's team in the championship. 43 points from Jackson Kohler. There we go. He had a strong Moneyball, but also want to just shine a little light on this. Hopefully it's nothing too big. Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports, he reported that Trey Holloman did not play the second half because he reported some pain in his shin. So hopefully that is just a minor case of the shin splints, very precautionary, but yeah, just something to keep your eye on right there, just for the heads up. All right, gang, we got a little more to talk about, plus a few mailbag questions here in a hot segment. First, hey, eBay Motors is the best spot to get all your auto needs for a championship team. It is all about making sure every player is a perfect fit. It's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time that you need parts and accessories, well, hey, treat yourself and head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage and look for the green check to know that your part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. And with over 122 million parts to choose from, Lordy, that's a lot of parts to choose from, you will be back in the game in no time. After all, it is easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. So get the right parts, the right fit, at the right price on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, before diving into the mailbag here, just a quick little football note. Yes, we're going back to the football field. Rachel Sachs has been hired as the football head performance dietitian. She replaces cult hero Amber Reinstein, who, if you remember, she was effectively the de facto MVP of that Miami game that Michigan State had in 2021. If that game doesn't happen in the 105-degree heat and Michigan State looks far superior, they look like the home team against the Miami Hurricanes. I don't even know if anyone knows about this position, but Michigan State looks so conditioned and so ready to play in that sweltering heat that a lot of credit, rightfully so, went to Amber Reinstein. And she has since left in the offseason. So Rachel Sachs, she comes here from Purdue. She did some work down in Purdue. She has worked at Northwestern as well, graduated from Illinois. So a lot of Big Ten ties there. And is this a home run hire? The only way that we could possibly grade her is if, Michigan State has a game in a area where it is 105 plus degrees and Michigan State gets that win. So I don't know if we're going to get that at Boston College next year, but we'll see. But yeah, so I know that some people were wondering what was going to go on with the dietitian role. That's it. Rachel Sachs over from Purdue by way of Illinois University. All right, let's head over to the mailbag here. Guys, thank you so much for all your questions, by the way, in the mailbag. If we don't get to it today, we will spread it out across next week, the week after that. Thanks a lot for your patience, too, because a lot of you guys came up with questions that will just take up a whole segment. So thanks a lot for being co-producers of this show, by the way. We're going to start off with A here. We're going to talk some recruiting here. He writes, I know camp just started and gave us something new to look forward to, but are there any other names in recruiting land that we should keep our eye out for? Not named David Stone. Got two for you, and one is becoming a popular name here. 4-star receiver from Florida, Bredell Richardson. We had Brian Smith on not too long ago. Brian Smith is the Locked On recruiting expert. He thinks Michigan State, sits really good for Bredell Richardson, who was here over the weekend at Spartan Stadium as well. And if you remember, teammates with Scuda Carey, the 4-star running back commit, also from Carrollwood Day. Now, he does have a final four, of Michigan, LSU, Oregon, and of course your Michigan State Spartans. And old friend of the program, John Garcia, he is at Rivals now. He had a piece. Hey, where are the top 10 Southeast kids that are uncommitted? Where are they going to go? Well, he wrote that David Stone is probably Oklahoma, but we're trying to keep it optimistic here on a Friday. So let's get back to Bredell Richardson. John Garcia is pegging the Spartans, our Spartans, for Bredell Richardson. So keep your eye on that as well. I don't think there's any commitment date yet for him, but the other name we're going to talk about Francis Brewu. Great name, by the way. Brewu. That is going to be a great NIL jersey to have out there, should he come to Michigan State. But it's not a guarantee he comes to Michigan State, of course, because, well, currently he is committed to Pitt. The 6'2", 270-pound defensive lineman, 3-star from Columbus, yes, is committed to Pat Narduzzi's squad right now, but there are some 2024 Spartan commits actively recruiting him. Andrew Dennis is one of them. He was tweeting at him on Thursday. The Lanieskis were tweeting at him as well. So there might be mutual interest there between Francis Brewu and Michigan State, but yeah, it's just that pesky Pitt commitment right now. So let's keep one eye on that. The other one on Bredell Richardson, while also keeping both eyes on the David Stone, because that's going to happen at the end of the month. And yes, Oklahoma leads right now, but we all know how fast things can change in recruiting. So yeah, pretty much 3.5 weeks until his date. That's a world of time. Matt C. writes in, Winman is going to be a baller this year. He played out of position for 4 games and was suspended for the last 4 games, which is why he's being overlooked. Your thoughts? Could not agree more with you here. We talked about this earlier in the week with Dalton Shetler. Like, is Jacoby Winman somehow underrated nationally? Like, maybe not with Michigan State fans, but guys, like, I will talk about this leading up to kickoff, or really leading to the end of the season. I will be talking so highly of Jacoby Winman until he is out of a Spartan uniform, because look, last week we had a top 5 defensive players list for Michigan State, and I rated him number 1 for good reason. And yeah, he's back at his linebacker role, just like Matt C. mentioned. I mean, he had a 3-time defensive Big Ten Player of the Year season last year, playing defensive end after, well, making a home of linebacker at UNLV. That's where he was before he transferred to Michigan State. But at UNLV, okay, 118 tackles, top 20 in the nation. 72 of those were solo tackles. That is top 10 in the nation, through 6.5 sacks on top of that in his final season at UNLV. But yeah, I expect a massive season for Jacoby Winman, and I do think that suspension at the end of the year just made him completely forgotten about. Like, I know that maybe it was not the right time to vote for Jacoby Winman or anyone that was suspended after the tunnel incident against Michigan. I can't really, quite frankly, put up much of a fight there. But to not even get like Big Ten honorable mention, he won Player of the Week 3 times. I mean, I feel like he has just been forgotten about, which, hey, that's great. That works for us. Hopefully every other team just forgets to scout him before all their games. But yeah, no, I cannot be higher on Jacoby Winman going into the season, even if I possibly tried. JD writes in, since you seem to be the god of the bet jinx, well, hey, Mel, how much money are you willing to spend on the opponent for the next 15 MSU football games while they're on their natty run? First of all, I want the record to show last year, okay, every Friday we do 5 best bets during the college football season. Last year, we ended, against all odds, exactly at 500. So, hey, JD, we were not in the red. Now, I'm sure you're thinking of March Madness, where I think I was literally like 2-28. That was not a good stretch. But college football, we're okay. Now, second of all, to answer your question, now, if any of my family or close friends or wife is listening right now, please turn this down. I would bet like $5,000 if it guaranteed a Michigan State national championship, and probably even more. I would spend a lot more money than I ever possibly should for my favorite college team to win a national title, but that's beside the point. But however, there is a real life scenario here. In 2019, it was the first game against Michigan for basketball. All right, 2019, you already know how the season ends. In the Final Four, I had a little offshore betting account. This is before we were brought to the world of FanDuel here in Michigan. I had X amount in my account. I bet on Michigan for that game because I had my happiness. After that game, okay, I bet on, who is it, Illinois. I kept betting against Michigan State every single game for that season until I emptied the account against Duke. I put the rest of my account on Duke, and I've never in my life been more thrilled to lose money at a pace like that in my entire life. So, hey, there was a real life example of, hey, just bet on that, and then whatever team Sheehan decides to bet on will guaranteed lose that game. that did happen at the end of the 2019 basketball season. So are we going to try that again this year for football? You are damn right we will. Absolutely. Todd writes in, can we change the woodshed to something better and to the theme? I've suggested Mount Olympus or even Olympia. I'll add Sparta too as a freebie. Like I said before, the woodshed sounds like it came from two dudes drunk in a Saline trailer park. Ouch. Barbs thrown at Saline or Saline. I've heard people say that city's named different ways, but hey, I like the woodshed first and foremost. And I know that's a new thing publicly. And then after they called it the woodshed, some people were saying, oh, that's what the players have called it for a while. And then there were fans being like, BS. I don't believe that for a second. I truly remember when back in my reporting days for the state news, like in the early 2010s, players would call it the woodshed. Like that was not made up. They really did give it that name. It was more of just an in-house players only thing that has, since come to the public since Mel Tucker took over. But I like the woodshed a lot. I love it, but I'll play along here. Acropolis, I think, would be a great one. Now, you'd have to kind of maybe renovate the east side of the stadium so it doesn't look like a Serbian prison from the outside. You might have to jazz that up if you want to call it the Acropolis, or if you want to go to the deep water theme, drag them into the deep water, you could call it the Trench, an ode to the Mariana Trench, whatever that deep trench is. Or if you want the true deepest point in the ocean, it's called Challenger Deep. That's right. Call Spartan Stadium Challenger Deep. Why not? Let's get nuts there. And then last but not least, Spartan Enthusiast writes, can Locked On Spartans be renamed to Locked On Tom Izzos? Look, if someone wants to pay me $30 million, I will just change my name to Locked On Tom Izzos. I will name my soon-to-be-born child in September the Tom Izzo Football Building. If someone gives me $30 million, yeah, you could even shave a zero off that, and I would seriously consider it. So, hey, if you guys want to hit me on Venmo, just DM me. I'll give it to you, and we'll just forward that I almost said 300 million. That's 30 million. We'll get it straightened out here, gang. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's show of Locked On Spartans. We're going to kick off next week's show with Pick 6 previews, the best preview college football magazine in the land. They join the show. Unless the realignment thing happens and everything's blown up. But regardless, you can count on that next week. We have an interview with Tyler Hunt scheduled. And then any other news that breaks, you know where to find us. Locked On Spartans. Now go enjoy your weekend, you beautiful people. Love you all. Go Green.